Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the baddest chick on the block.
What's up? I'm just here to set some ground rules, okay? Alright, yes, this is my setup. Yes, I bought a microphone for this. But I'm here. For anyone confused as to what the hell I'm doing here, I'm making a video essay for school because I was bored during senior year. To my teacher, I better see notes. This was a 10-page research paper, so I'm looking for about 20, maybe 30. I feel like that's pretty fair. To my friends, I better see a screenshot that you watched the whole video. And to any family members watching, I want you to click off. Okay, but all jokes aside, I put a lot of effort into this project, and I really hope that you enjoy it. I tried my best to not make it boring and make it entertaining and funny. On screen is a prompt that I have to answer. So let's answer it. Perry Edward Smith had a troubled childhood. Around age 6, his mother and his father divorced. Shortly afterward, she hit the, you know what I'm saying? A little bit of He was then pulled out of the orphanage by his father, and then he was placed into school, where he stated, "I finished 3rd grade," which was the finish.
Hey Dad, I just learned what 1 times 1 today is. It's 1. Oh, let's really just focus on that, Perry. 1. 1 laugh. 1 parent. 1 bullet will make them fall. It'll make them fall if you shoot them right in the head.
His father then created a mobile home out of a trailer, and they began to live a nomadic lifestyle where Perry learned to hunt. Perry was frustrated with the relationship with his father, claiming, "Whole sections of me Dad was ignorant of, didn't understand an iota of." Later, he went into the army where he was to fight the Korean War. However, he didn't get very far because he wasn't quote-unquote queer enough. Why am I crying, you ask? It's because I didn't get very far in the army. You want to know why? It's because they wanted their arm in me, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't tolerate it. It went against my values and my principles. After 7 years of being away from his father, the first thing that they did was spend all of their money building an inn that miserably failed. After the inn failed, his father and him got into a fight, which compelled Perry to choke his own father, as well as compel his father to point and shoot a gun at him. But it wasn't loaded. This, rightfully so, caused them to separate. Then afterwards, Perry did a bunch of stupid shit and ended up in a jail in Kansas, of all places. In prison, he met Dick Hickok, a fellow inmate, and the two of them planned to rob the Clutter family after another inmate, Floyd Wells, a former worker of the Clutter family, promised that there was a safe to rob.
Hey man, I know you don't know me, but in this house that I used to work for, there's a safe with $10,000 in it. $10,000? From a complete stranger? With no proof? What could possibly go wrong? Murder. Murder? I hardly know her. Not funny.
The two of them tied up and eventually murdered the Clutter family when they realized there was no safe. After this, they fled to Mexico. After being in Mexico for so long, Dick and Perry come back to Kansas. While in Kansas, Perry has intense anxieties, so much so that he has nightmares and visions about being caught. Dick, who doesn't share these anxieties, starts cashing bad checks all around the town of Holcomb. Dick, are you sure that we should be here? In the place where we ended a whole lineage? Yeah, bro. Trust. Oh, okay. This creates a paper trail for the police to catch them. They are found guilty of the murder of the Clutter family and hanged on April 15th, 1965. When this book was released, the audience must have been exposed to an entirely new feeling of unsettlement. The first mainstream horror movie, Dracula, had been released in 1931, which exploded the genre into mainstream. However, most of the movies released afterwards were related to the supernatural. Some examples being Frankenstein, The Mummy, The Invisible Man, and The Wolfman. This trend continued throughout the 1940s and the 1950s. It was only until the 1960s that modern horror truly evolved, with Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Just 5 years after the release of Psycho, Capote's book was the first source of media that could illustrate the brutality humans could inflict upon one another in such grueling detail that wasn't fictional. You can count the news in that, saying that, oh, it's not fictional, it actually happened. But the news is very much like bitch A killed bitch B, and that's boring. That's not grueling detail. While reading Perry Smith's timeline, Capote forces the inexperienced audience to conform to the idea that killers may not be born evil. Sometimes their environments make them who they are. This consequently causes the reader to reflect upon their own life and the living situations that they may have taken for granted prior to reading In Cold Blood. Perry's thought process can ultimately be linked to the psychological disorders that he developed throughout his life. In fact, a court-ordered psychologist was going to deem him as a paranoid schizophrenic until he was cut off by the judge.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've ordered this psychologist to assess Perry. Sir, in your most professional opinion, what would you say? Yes, Your Honor, thank you. In my opinion, I would say, I don't care.
According to an article that was reviewed by a certified psychologist, a combination of genetic and environmental factors such as dangerous surroundings or living in poverty can give rise to schizophrenia. This connects to Perry as he had spent most of his life in cheap hotels, inns, and other unsanitary locations. But just because it wasn't clean doesn't mean he developed schizophrenia. Genetics is also out of the question because although his parents were definitely struggling mentally, there's no evidence that they had schizophrenia. This means that it was accumulated over time. The article also mentions that the most common type of childhood trauma in people living with schizophrenia is emotional neglect, though physical abuse and sexual abuse are also risk factors. This completely aligns with Perry's timeline, as he was physically abused by his father, emotionally neglected by his mother enough for her to justify her, and then neglected by his father again in multiple ways. Some examples are that his father didn't let him pursue education, didn't listen to his musical talents, and also just made him live a lifestyle that he didn't want to live. This childhood trauma manifested into Perry's adult schizophrenia, because schizophrenia mainly presents itself once the person is an adult. Perry had visions and nightmares, which are telltale signs of schizophrenia.
Have you ever wondered what a schizophrenic person hears? Well, look at this video.
I came for you. I came for you because you are the one. It's you. You are the one I came for.
It's great, but it's 10 years old. And in English class, it's really important that we use up-to-date sources. So I took the liberty of updating it myself.
The boys action! This is a dressing room! Please!
Next my fucking pants.
Who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Where
In the sense that
So that's why I love vintage gay porn.
Perry didn't just have schizophrenia though. Perry was depressed. While running from the police, he thought about often. Learning all of this information, the reader is forced to reflect on the state of their own lives and reflect on their mental well-being as well. It forces the audience to understand the effect that trauma has on the human mind, and how the thought process that leads up to a murder isn't always born. Sometimes it's forged through really negative life experiences. This horrific tendency for the human mind to be able to justify ending the life of another is the lifeblood of the true crime genre. Anyway, let's talk about horror now. After In Cold Blood, not only did true crime explode, horror as a genre did as well. Some classic movies use the past influence of the supernatural, as seen from the 1930s to the 1960s. However, they do this to heighten the story of their villain and how scary humans can be. They allow the audience to see what caused them to act the way that they do, which is no doubt an effect of true crime. This fascination with the human mind came at a cost, however, because the audience lost the ability to view the effects of trauma naively. Because as the true crime genre grew, it showed that anyone can become corrupted if placed under the right conditions. Let's talk about Dick. Not hog, not cock, Dick. And I'm not dicking around. While Dick and Perry committed similar crimes, they had majorly different upbringings. Dick Hickok was a fairly popular high school athlete, and afterward he became a mechanic because his family couldn't afford to send him to college. After being in a car accident, Dick began his journey of crime. He began writing bad checks and gambling until he was sent to prison, where he met Perry Smith and Floyd Wells. Perry had developed schizophrenia, major trust issues, and intense anxiety. Dick, however, showed signs of sociopathy. According to Mayo Clinic, which we should trust as a source because it was in some episodes of Grey's Anatomy, signs include ignoring right and wrong, telling lies to take advantage of others, criminal behavior, and feeling no guilt about harming others. This definitely corresponds with Dick, as he would behave without rhyme or reason. Some examples include running over dogs in Mexico and saying, "Oh boy, we splattered him," knowing his pedophilic thoughts were wrong yet not feeling guilty, and confessing to the murder of the Clutter family yet blaming all of it on Perry. Dick's sociopathy made him the best and also the worst partner. However, in the end he was too selfish for the partnership to last.
Alright, sluts. I got a new assignment for y'all. Alright, for this assignment, you can A. Make an essay. B. Make a podcast. C. Make a video essay. Oh my god, Miss Anna, I've always wanted to do a video essay. Is it gonna be on something fun and interesting and exciting? No! This is school's time, you stupid bitch. God, I wonder how she sleeps at night. It's so cozy here. Under the illumination of my brat cactus lamp and my purple dinosaur. My soul is at rest, knowing that I've ruined children's lives today. Giving them F's, giving them zeros. I love zeros. I love giving them work. And then once they finish that, more work. And then once they finish that, even more. And they come up to me and they say, "When will it end?" And I say, "It won't."
Dick and Perry's thought processes can both be attributed to their illnesses. Dick's was born into him, but was probably heightened by the head injury he sustained, while Perry's was a result of physical and emotional abuse. The audience is then thrown for a roller coaster, as they just got used to the idea that villains can sometimes be born through negative life experiences, and then they see Dick, who's just a dick. Perry was ranged completely wrong, and he became a killer. Dick, on the other hand, grew up with many friends, a supportive family, and a stable source of income. This highlights to the audience that the world is an unsafe place, where even the most unsurprising of people can become killers. Upon its debut, Capote's novel shot the genre into the mainstream. However, so much has evolved since then. Some true crime cases have entire docuseries portraying the life of a villain, victim, or situation. Some examples are Unbelievable, Dahmer, Monsters, The Act, and The Girl from Plainville, just to name a few. People are obsessed with true crime for a plethora of reasons. Firstly, it's much like our fascination with car crashes or natural disasters. It's pure spectacle and drama, and anything outside of the norm of our day-to-day lives will draw our attention. The stories that occur in true crime media are usually our worst nightmares. However, that's exactly what draws us into it. That's exactly where our fascination comes from. Getting into the intense details of true crime in between bad days, boring 9-to-5 jobs, or to disrupt the silence creates a sense of escapism to whoever's consuming it. Some other reasons are fear and adrenaline. Listening to grotesque descriptions or visuals that usually go along with true crime from the comfort of our own homes allows us to experience the fear in a safer environment while also getting the rush of adrenaline. This is most likely why people say that they're addicted to true crime. In reality, they're addicted to the adrenaline that they get from listening to it. Finally, the reason people enjoy true crime is to stay safe. This is because getting into the mind of a killer helps people see warning signs of danger, especially the group most preyed on, women. It's unsurprising that the majority of true crime listeners are women, as it allows them to prepare for any situation that they may encounter, which in a complicated way may create a sense of relief. Currently, people consume true crime in order to purposefully lose their innocence. And whether it's to stay safe or for entertainment, this loss of innocence differs from audiences back in 1965. In Cold Blood convinced readers that the mind of a killer isn't what it seems, and that they shouldn't take their upbringings for granted. However, true crime in 2025 causes us to reflect on the world around us and lose innocence to keep ourselves safe, or oddly enough, entertained.
A word from our celebrity guest.
So I think that it's really cool. There is a huge sisterhood between horror and porn. Because people are freaky and nasty, and they want to watch bodies on screen, whether the bodies are getting penetrated or blown to bits, you know?
Movies like Midsommar, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and Split showcase the evolution in horror movies because they include mentally ill perpetrators. Even if they lack gore, it can be debated that they're more scary than the average horror movie, as the events in them could actually happen. This is definitely in line with the popularization of true crime, as producers saw the success in expanding the mind of a killer and giving them motivations to explain their actions. Basically, the true crime genre gave horror complex villains. Capote's novels certainly popularized the true crime genre, however, the media has kept exploring and expanding it since then. The growth of the true crime genre has caused the public to lose their naivety about the human race. However, it's fostered something stronger: community. Survivors of abuse, traumatic events, or near-death experiences can watch, read, or listen to the experience of others and realize that they're not alone. The digital age keeps all of us connected, and true crime holds its audience together through knowledge of all the cons of the human race, leaving its consumers to reflect upon their own lives and finding the pros in them. Similar to how readers felt when reading In Cold Blood 60 years ago. I hate these homo.
One day, I'm gonna teach them so much Shakespeare that they go to a Dollar Tree and buy rope.
Truman Capote, fuck. No, you haven't. I'm gonna go insane. They're gonna call me crazy like Perry. I'm gonna get locked in the psych ward, locked in the psych ward. Look, they tested him too much. He's in the psych ward.
There's a spider. Oh, he's dead. I don't give a rat's left testicle about English class. Sound test. This is a sound test. No. We have everything. There's one thing left to do. What do you mean? We have intro, rules, yapping, bloopers? That's all that we need. No. Come on, it's so lame. Don't do it. Please, please, please don't do it. It's so lame. Nobody cares. Please, no. I'm sorry, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I gotta.